Okay, I am going to go ahead and get started on the LLC, and this is so basically this topic came up. This is why people transfer investment properties to an LLC. So this topic came up because a lot of people that we manage property for just keep a property in their name. So they, Jennifer Fox, and I own the property, and I'm the landlord, and that's how I hold the property. And that is very, very common. But we have a lot of investors who put their properties into an LLC. And so we're starting to get some questions about that. We are not attorneys. We're not giving you legal advice. We're telling you more about why we see people move things to an LLC, and some of our understanding. But you can also do a lot of your own research and also talk to an attorney. But a lot of this can be done. You can do this yourself, and you can get this started. So the main motivation for people going into LLC, there's a couple of them, but one of the main ones is liability protection. So, if a tenant or visitor is injured at a property or sues, having a property in LLC rather than with you personally generally can limit the claim to the asset, to that LLC rather than to your personal home savings, other things. So that is a big reason people do it. LLCs, there's that protection there. And other common reasons would be privacy. So you don't want your name on the lease. You use the LLC to sort of protect yourself. Easier co-ownership. So let's say you buy the property with another person, then this is a way that you actually describe that relationship and manage that relationship through the LLC. Estate planning, this is very common if you're putting your property into your estate planning and you want to put it into trust, or you want it to be able to transfer. You might put it into LLC. And for a lot of people, it's cleaner books, right? It's a dedicated entity. It has its own checking account. All the money flows through one account. Is very specific to this property. So lots of really good and common reasons. So benefits would be personal asset protection from lawsuits, potentially pass-through taxation. So income flows to your personal return via Schedule E for a single member, or another form, which is a 1065 for a multi-member. It can also come across as a professional sort of appearance, right? You own this investment property and you own it through a business. There's some flexibility in the management structure, ownership transfer, and it's really, really easy to form an LLC, and it's quick in Colorado. It's like $50 filing fee, and it's often approved the same day. So in one day, you can go in, create the LLC name in the state of Colorado, file the proper documents all online. You can then go to the IRS and get an FEIN, and you're on your way. So there's still obviously other things you need to do, and it gets a little deeper than that, but it really is. The upfront process is pretty simple. It gets more complicated when you need to change title and change it from your name to the LLC, or when you get into what you need to provide from a tax perspective. So the drawbacks or traps could be, not every mortgage company will mortgage for an LLC. So you have to go to a special bank if you're going to buy as an LLC. Transfer of title to an LLC is much easier. Title insurance doesn't automatically flow to the LLC. So again, this is some effort on the back end of, we want to make sure that the title insurance that was purchased when you bought the property continues with the change of ownership from the person to the LLC. Insurance has to be updated. That's another thing you'd need to do, is it's no longer in your name. It now needs to be in the name of the LLC. And then the commingling of funds, right? That really changes the LLC. Everything needs to appear in the LLC's name. And that's really important. Ongoing compliance. So you've got annual periodic reports that you file. And that will also be something that you just have to do every year, right? It's not a big deal. It's real quick, but it's still something that you do. So 1031 exchange complications. So it says if the property comes through a 1031 exchange, the transfer can be an issue and hold up and be a problem and conflict for the holding period or entity continuity rules. So you would need to just make sure that if you bought it as a 1031 exchange through your name and then change the ownership, you just need to check all those boxes. And then, transferring joint ownership to an LLC can also trigger some tax events that you probably need to look into. Single membership LLC protection isn't bulletproof. So if you are the only one, that LLC and you're the only person on it, there could be some, considerations. Is it really the protection that I need? So those are the things that you'd want to check into. The basic process and steps to do this are you file articles of incorporation with the state of Colorado. Well, first of all, you need an LLC name, and you file that with the state of Colorado. You file articles of organization, which include that name. You get an EIN from the IRS, which is free. You draft an operating agreement. So the operating agreement, and honestly, this isn't required, but it's recommended. And you can find these. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can find an operating agreement and tweak it to meet your LLC needs. You want to open a dedicated business account or a bank account for the business in the LLC's name, and you need to have the articles of incorporation and the EIN in order to do that. So there's an order to this. And you want to check the mortgage before transferring the deed. That's a really important thing you do, is that you do not want to find yourself in a situation where the mortgage company is going to have a problem with this transfer. So there's also preparing and recording the deed. So you'd need connection with a title company, switching title insurance, switching your insurance policy with the LLC name. And then it goes to all the other things, county assessor, the HOA, tenants, leases, utilities, and then staying compliant. So there's 10 plus steps to doing this and doing it well. But, the bottom line here is it's pretty easy to form, very inexpensive. And it's really with the mortgage and the tax pieces where mistakes get expensive, and you really probably want to talk to your tax advisor about this idea and why you're doing it. But it is worth running this potentially through an attorney or a tax advisor before pulling the trigger on this. But it is very, very common. We're seeing it all the time. And it's something to think about. And, does it make sense for you and your property to change the property ownership into the LLC? I think it's something that would be valuable for you to look into. So I'm going to highly recommend that you look into that and dig deeper. If you would like to have a conversation with us, just any other details, or like some of this information shared in another way, I'm very, very happy to do that. So thank you for jumping on this and watching this quick video around transferring properties into an LLC. And I hope that it's helpful and it's getting you thinking about your opportunities and going and asking the experts about the best way to do this and whether it makes sense for you. All right, have a great day.